Entitled mother and entitled kid want my Adderall because I'm lying and it's candy. I saw the post about the dude and his allergy pills, and it reminded me of this thing that happened July 2018. Sorry about formatting, mobile users. Okay, so I live in New York City, and as anyone who's ridden the subway there, you know that you mind your own business, no matter what other people are doing. So I was taking summer classes at my school to graduate faster, and my first class was at 10 AM, and I was usually out of my house at 9:30, leaving me plenty of time to get there, but not much time to do things around the house before leaving. I have trouble getting up in the morning. One more important thing. I take 25 milligrams of Adderall a day for my ADD, an orange 15 milligram pill in the morning before I leave, and a second 10 milligram blue pill whenever I want during the day as a pick-me-up. Okay, so that particular morning I was running very late. I'd gotten out of bed at 9:10, so I was running around trying to find my phone, charger, deodorant, clean clothes, etc. And in my morning whirlwind I forgot to take my Adderall with me. I had walked all the way to the train station before realizing I had forgotten. Ran back home, ran back to the station, and hopped on the train. If you don't know, Adderall can take anywhere from 15 to 40 minutes to kick in, depending on your body's chemistry, stomach acidity, tolerance, etc. And I had class in roughly 15 minutes. But this is where our story begins. My commute by train is easy, just 4 stops. But occasionally, we will stop in the tunnels because of the train dispatcher. I got on the train at my stop and found a seat and sat down with my earbuds in. Across from me was a mum and daughter, maybe 30 to 35 years old, and 8 to 11 years old respectively. I didn't think much of them and went to fish around my pocket for my first Adderall. A few moments of patting myself down, looking for it, brought the gaze of entitled mother and entitled kid down upon me. I located my Adderall in my chest pocket of my shirt, little and orange, just like I remember it, and just like candy. I put it in my mouth and swallowed it with no water, as I really don't mind it. I then saw the entitled kid whisper to the entitled mother about something, but again I ignored it. We get to stop number 2, and we start to move again when the train stops and they say, "We are being held momentarily by the train dispatcher." Just my luck. The time was 9:50. I check my schedule and I see I have a double math first thing when I get there, so I decided to take the second Adderall. The instant my hand goes into my chest pocket, both entitled mother and entitled kid perked up and looked at me. I wasn't looking at them though, just making sure that my Adderall didn't have any crap on it from my pocket. I hear an, "Excuse me." I looked up and saw entitled mother staring into my soul. "Yes?" I take my headphones out. "I couldn't help but notice that's your second piece of candy." In silent confusion, I didn't realize they thought my Adderall was candy. "Because you've already had one, I want you to give that to entitled kid." I finally realize, oh, this isn't candy, it's a pill. I can't share. How come it looks different than the first one if it's a pill? Literally the most questioning and accusative tone I've ever heard. 2 different dosages? You just don't want to share. You don't even need it. You must be a grown man. I was 17 and looked younger at the time. These are my prescription meds. I couldn't share even if I wanted to. And I don't because I don't want to go to jail. Oh, well. If they are really prescription, what medical condition is it for? This is Adderall, mixed amphetamine salts, used to treat my ADD. It's an actual crime to share these. Come on, she deserves it. She's been doing good in school and she deserves some candy. Then buy her some candy? It's $1 for a packet of M&Ms. Again, this is Adderall, aka amphetamine. Wait, amphetamine? Like meth? Holy Mother of Mary, a drug dealer! Help! Help! What? Everyone in the train looked at us. To me, just sitting there calmly with a blue pill in my hand, and a mother clearly having a crisis over being faced with prescription medication. The conductor came out after a few of the entitled mother's cries for help. "Hey, what's happening in here? That junkie offered meth to me and my daughter. No, I didn't. I actually broke out laughing. Kids, drugs are no joke. What happened? He was walking towards me. I was taking my prescription and... Lies! He does meth. Me and the con in unison say, shut up! I was taking my prescription Adderall and she saw this, holds up blue pill, and thought it was candy, and demanded I should give it to her kid. I said it's Adderall and a crime to share, and here we are. Did anyone else see what happened? Random dude goes, the kid was just sitting there. He took one pill, then took the blue one out, and all this happened. The kid's a threat. Ma'am, please stop making threats. If you harass him anymore, I'm sure he could call the cops on you for it. If it's his medication, then why didn't he take it yet? Oh, I don't know. Maybe the person yelling at him because of it has something to do with it? He turns to me and says, Kid, you good from here? Yep, sorry for the noise. Don't blame yourself, we all know whose fault it is. The conductor went back to the conductor booth in the front. Now it's just me and entitled mother and kid with all eyes on us. I put my earbuds back in. You know, the binders in this pill makes it taste pretty sugary. I put the Adderall on my tongue, in full view of the entitled mother, letting it sit for a few moments, and washing it down with a gulp of water. They were just staring at me for the remainder of the ride. I got up and changed cars at the next stop, but they kept looking through the windows at me from that car into mine. I got to my stop and waved goodbye to that conductor as I walked past his train car. I got in at 10:07, but my cool math teacher marked me as on time. There was a special kind of crazy in that lady's eye. I'm sure if she wasn't bringing her kids somewhere, she would have stalked me for the rest of the day. Weird as heck, never seen her again. Our next story was posted by user Terces Lay, titled, Entitled Mother Shows Up Almost 4 hours late on a school night. Doesn't even pay me for the hours we agreed upon. So, this is my first post on this subreddit, but it isn't my first entitled person story. Obligatory not on mobile, English is my first language, and I don't really care about grammatical errors unless they're really bad, so I most likely won't edit. Some backstory. I've been babysitting since I was about 12 years old. I've been a summertime nanny before I got a job at the restaurant I work at now, and I love being around kids. Up until this point, I hadn't had to stop watching any particular child. Usually, I would cease my services when children got old enough to be left home alone. I was a junior in high school when this happened, and I knew the boys and entitled mother really well beforehand, or so I thought. So I had no issue watching the children. They were very sweet, polite, and well-behaved boys, and I never had any odd feelings towards the parents up until this point. So when the boy's mother asked me if I was free to babysit them, I was like, sure, why not? About 2 days before I went to babysit, I did all of my usual first time working for this family things. Are there any allergies? From when to when will I be watching the boys? Are you comfortable with the pay rate we agreed upon still? Do any of them need medication? Everything was normal. The plan was, I was going to be babysitting from 4 PM after school until 9 PM that evening. Feed the boys, give them a bath, get them in their pajamas, make sure the little one went potty before bed at 7, he was 3 and was still getting used to not wearing pull-ups, and I would get paid when the parents got home from their dinner party, $5 per kid, 2 boys per hour, for a total of $50 when they arrive. Keep that in mind. The night I'm supposed to babysit comes around. It's a fairly normal experience. The boys were, as they always were during church, well behaved and respectful. They stayed out of trouble while I made dinner. They didn't get fussy during bath time, went to bed after a story and a few lullabies. Everything was great. I then had 2 hours to do my homework. Great. Well, 8:30 rolls around and the entitled mother texts me that they're going to be around 30 minutes late, as the party ended at 9 instead of 8:30. I'm like, that's fine. And I text my dad, and he says it's fine. So I go back to homework. Now, Me having no concept of time, unless I'm really paying attention, I don't notice when 9:30 passes and it hits 10:30. My dad calls, concerned because I'm not home yet. I'm concerned too, because entitled mother told me that she would be home only half an hour late, not an hour. So I tell him I'll check in. I text her and I get no reply. I try to call and I end up having to leave a voicemail. I wasn't left a number for the father, whom I hadn't met at all before this, because he often travelled for work. Because his phone was broken at the time and couldn't receive or send calls. So I was stuck there until the couple got back. I called my dad and let him know the situation, and he said that if she didn't get back to me by midnight, to call the police. I thought that was a bit excessive, but nonetheless I agreed. 11 o'clock, I text her again. No response. Call again, rings until voicemail, and I leave another one. Still trying to be polite, but add a bit of urgency, as it is a school night and my dad expects me home. 11:30 hits, and I text her again. This time I get a response. "We're on our way, don't worry, we'll be there in 15 minutes. So, I'm relieved. I text my dad, and he just tells me that he'll wait up for me. I start packing up my stuff because I've finished my homework. I check on the boys to make sure they're asleep, but, well, one more time. And I'm prepared to go as soon as they walk in the door. 11:45, they don't show up. I'm a bit annoyed now, but I give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there was traffic. Midnight, still aren't there. I text her again, but this time I'm not polite at all. "Entitled mother, I need to go home. My dad is worried and wants me home. I have school tomorrow and a physics test. When will you be here?" No response. I put my stuff by the front door and text my dad again. He's annoyed and tells me that if she doesn't show up by 1 AM, then he's coming over to watch the boys so I can go home to bed. 12:30 I get a text. "We'll be home in just a few. We got hung up." 12:45, the couple gets home. I text my dad that they are home, and he says that he expects me home ASAP. Entitled mother comes in with her husband, and neither of them look like they were in a rush. I was visibly annoyed, and the husband looked extremely confused by this. This is also the first time he has met me, and he thought I'd be older. "Oh, thank you for watching the boys." She hands me an envelope, and I look inside to see $40. I don't want to be rude, entitled mother, but you owe me more than this. We agreed on $40, right? No, $50, $5 per kid per hour. This is when the husband chimes in. "Honey, we're really underpaying her then." He looks like he was doing the math in his head. "No, we agreed upon this, so this is what you're getting." Now, I was stunned at this point. Up until now, entitled mother had never shown any signs of entitlement. And after years of being around an alcoholic mother, I knew the difference between drunk and sober, and entitled mother was completely sober. So, I was extremely confused. "Honey, when did you tell her we'd be home?" 1 AM. I can't hide my shock, but entitled mother is already shooing me out the door. I'm stunned as I'm pushed with my stuff into the driveway and given a swift goodnight. I look at the contents in the envelope, and I'm extremely angry by this. I text my dad that I'm on my way home, and I start to get into my car to leave, until the husband comes out. "How much do I owe you?" Technically almost $60, but it's fine. No, take this." He hands me two $20 notes. "I'm sorry about her. She told me she had a sitter for the entire night. I thought you were a college student. That was unfair. Drive home safe. I'll pay you the rest this weekend at church." True to his word, he gave me the last 20 he owed me, as well as a bit of extra for the troubles. This happened 2 more times before I refused to watch the boys anymore. I still see the boys at church, and I love them to death, but I couldn't keep doing this as a high school student, and the boys, thankfully, understood. Edit. So this blew up way more than I expected. A lot of people are asking why I let it happen 2 more times. When babysitting, I have a 3 strikes policy for both parents and children. For example, I no longer nanny for one family because the child would never listen to discipline and got physically violent with me if I tried to. 3 times. The other 2 times for this entitled mother were during the day, and the husband always paid me $20 extra, after paying me what my rate was. They were very well behaved kids, and they really liked me as a sitter. Each time I go to church, the boys always want to sit with me because they miss me. I almost threw out my 3-strike policy for these boys, because I knew I would never have a more well-behaved duo. 3-year-old and a 5-year-old boys as well. They never threw tantrums, and never gave me a hard time about bedtime and bath time, so I kept with them until I just felt I couldn't, the 3rd time. And our last story was posted by a user, about 45 odders. Titled, Entitled Mother Tells Me That I Shouldn't Be Eating McDonald's and Tries to Follow Me Home. For context, I'm American born but living in Macau while finishing high school. The school I'm attending uses the Canadian curriculum, not Chinese, so it's a slightly easier adjustment from American classes. I've lived here for the last year and it's been a great experience. On the night of this entitled mother encounter, I was feeling too lazy to cook and was limited on cash. So, I decided to just get McDonald's. There was a restaurant directly beneath my apartment, which was pretty convenient when I was craving something that reminded me of home, or I didn't have time to sit down and eat. I ordered on the digital machine they had to avoid any language barriers with the cashiers. My Mandarin isn't great, and was waiting for my order to be called. Enter Entitled Mother. Entitled Mother looks to be in her mid-40s and has 2 small children in tow. If I were to describe her physical appearance, the only appropriate comparison I can think of is a Hitmonlee from Pokemon, but larger. Entitled Mother waddles in, gives me a dirty look and moves to the register. The place was packed, so I had plenty of time to watch Entitled Mother argue with this poor cashier about the proper way to pronounce burger and extra fries. Her kids are sitting on the floor by her legs, loudly laughing. By the time Entitled Mother had finished ordering, my number was next to be called, when unexpectedly, she moves straight towards me. Cue the dialogue, characters should be obvious. You really shouldn't be eating McDonald's. It becomes apparent by her voice that Entitled Mother is English. Oh, you're right, and you're obviously just here to try to get change for that $100 bill, right? You're visiting China, and you go to McDonald's? What a typical American. First of all, I live here, and have for the last year. Secondly, you're ordering food not just for yourself, but for your 2 kids. So don't act all holier than thou. How dare you! At this point, I grab my food and leave. I start the short walk to the door to my building when I realize Entitled Mother is following me. Don't you dare walk away from me, you little crap! I swipe my keycard to get into my building and close the glass door on Entitled Mother. I walk past the security guy in my building and say to him, "Don't let that woman in." He nods and walks away from the door. Entitled Mother is still screaming at me while I'm getting in the elevator. No idea if she went back for her food. Edit, for all those asking, I didn't see her kids by her side when she was banging on the door. She either left them in McDonald's or they were waiting outside. Either way, I pity them. Me too, guys, and that wraps up the episode. Tell me what you thought of it in the comments, and yeah, I know you guys liked the hour-long episodes, and I will do more of those, but I'm sick currently. So, pray for me, and pray for my voice, and I'll see you next time. Bye!